Do you have time to trade? Let's find out.
Wait. Matron, take them away. Oh.
A warm welcome, guys. If you haven't been here before, I am the coffee-obsessed Scruffy trader. And today we're going to have a little chat about time and what it means to the chart. Because I get numerous messages from guys saying, oh, I'd love to trade, but I haven't got the time. And I'd say, well, why haven't you got the time? And it's normally, well, it's work commitment, it's kid commitment, so I can't day trade. Well, you can. You can day trade whenever you like, because the markets run pretty much 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. So within that period, you should be able to find a little bit of me time that you can go to the screen. But also, if you are really strapped for time, you only need a few minutes for a swing trade. Well, let's break down a day trade and I'll kind of explain it, and then I'll explain the little segments within it as well, because this is where you find your trades and how you build up a structure for your day. Let's have a look. So on the board, got from midnight to 11, from noon to 11, 24 hours. Now it doesn't really matter the day of the week, but you can say it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever you like. Okay, what we're looking at is the 24-hour period. So what you start doing is you start knocking out parts of the day that you won't trade. So for me, I don't trade opens, so I automatically will not trade that hour segment. Okay, and it might come as a shocker to you, but I need to sleep as well, and we're going to assume that you sleep about 8 hours a day. So if you go to bed 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, so we're losing this time and this time, and then you're going to sleep through midnight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, get up around 6. Okay. Now, when you get up, you want some breakfast, see what's going on, read the news, chill out before you go to work, etc. So the chances are you're probably not going to trade then either. Then you might be commuting to work. Commuting to work, that might take an hour, so you can rule out that. Most places start 9 to 5, okay? Or it certainly did when I was in industry. So we'll use that as an example and you'll get an idea of what I'm driving at. So, can't trade any of these times. Can't really trade 5 either. So I get home 6 o'clock at night. I'm knackered, so I don't want to trade. I want some tea. I want to maybe see my kids, talk to my wife or your other half. So that can rule out a little bit. So from a working day, what you've done now is you've actually took all of the bits and pieces you need to do. You sleep, you eat, you work, you travel to work, talk to your kids, talk to your other side, patting the dog, whatever it is that needs to do. And you're all left with that bit. So you can only trade 8, 9 o'clock. Now, I live in the UK. Fine, no problem. So let's take this down a little bit further. So now what I have is a steady 2 hours before I go to bed. All right, so I've got 2 hour blocks. 1, 2. Excellent. So I know you're sort of scratching your head going, where's the big fella going here? What I'm trying to get you to think about is structuring your day in such a way that you actually know when you're going to trade at a defined moment. Now, if you have a job that is constant, in other words, you've got set hours, this is fine. The principle will still work if you've got shifts, but you might have to vary the products you're going to trade week to week, and I'll explain. So we know this is 8 and 9 o'clock. So for me, I'd be looking for whatever central bank is open. Well, that's going to be something with the US in it, because the US session is still in motion. So I'm looking for pairs, indices and commodities that will be operating in this time. Well, straight away, I know I've got gold and I know I've got oil. They operate 24 hours a day on every time frame. So it doesn't matter if it's Asia, London or New York, they are always a constant. Next one, right. Well, if I am looking at USD JPY, that's pretty good that time of night. Got the aftermarket of pound USD, and then you'll be looking at the pre-markets, and it's also quite a good market. So there straight away is a basket that you can trade. Now you can also look at indices. Which indices are going to be active at that time of night? Right, if you've got a big fund, you can trade something like the Dow or the Nasdaq. But a good one is the S&P 500. So what I've done here is I've worked out what time I can trade, but then I've aligned that with assets that I can trade that are going to be fluid at this time. Now, say it was 2 o'clock in the morning for me, I wouldn't look at any of them. Well, I would actually. I'd look at the Australian one and possibly the US JPY. But it'll be gold, oil, possibly then. But I'll be concentrating on the Aussie 200, maybe it's the Nikkei is my indices. And then I'll look to see what pairs is available. New Zealand's active that time of night, so I can go Aussie New Zealand. What I'm looking for is movement, structured round time. Right, but now I've got my blinkers on and I know what products I'm looking at, I can then break this down. So at the top of the hour, the first thing I'll be doing is looking for a bias. Right, so first thing I'll be doing is I want the direction. Okay. Where from? Well, from one of these. So I want to see a solid direction in one of them because I only want to trade one. Okay. Pick the asset. One of them has a strong direction. How do you find that? Well, there's many ways. Use your RSIs, your MACDs. You can just look at market structure and see if it is flowing in line with some moving averages. Whatever you do to get a bias, that's what you do. So what you're doing now is, like for argument's sake, we'll say this bias is up, which is long. All I'm going to do for 2 hours is look for buys. That's it. Nothing else. Looking for buys on my chosen asset. This is then broken into 4 15-minute checkpoints. This will also have 4 15-minute checkpoints. So what's a checkpoint? Well, a checkpoint is I look at the top of the hour. If it's not ready, I'll look at 15 minutes, then the next 15 minutes, next 15 minutes to the top of the hour. So we actually have 8 opportunities to enter the market. And then from those 8 opportunities, these 15 minutes, we have another box, which is 5 minute, which can give us 3 opportunities to get into the market. So what you've done is you've structured yourself in such a way that you've used time, product, direction, and entry points just to structure a trading plan. Because I think what happens with a lot of guys, and certainly some of the conversations I have, it's a case of right, I only have a trade cable, so I'll flip the screen on. Right, I've got 10 minutes. Give me a trade. And you're hunting all over for it. Well, that's kind of punt trading. You're almost talking yourself into why you would be trading that. Whereas if you structure it down into, this is my time period, that is me, where I am fully focused, so 2 hours. Now you might be able to do that before you go to work, depending on your shift. But in this analogy, it was 8, 9 o'clock at night. Look at what is active. Drill it into a small basket, and then drill that basket into one based on a bias. In other words, this is strong directional move. I'm happy with this. This is the one. That one's not so good. I'm going to discard it. There's no point wasting time on discarded products because you haven't got the time. You've only got 2 hours. So if you drill it down into one, and then you're looking to see if you can get in, well, you have 8 opportunities to get in over a 2-hour period. And out of those 8 opportunities, you have 6 entry points. Then if you're using pending orders, like the way that you see me do it, where the price has to come to me, you don't have to sit on it any longer because it'll trigger when it's ready, have predetermined targets, that'll close it when it's ready, and have a predetermined stop that if you're wrong, it'll make that decision for you. So all you're really doing in your short time period is just looking for a trade. Now I hope that makes sense, and you can do a similar thing with swing trading, whereby you break it down into little segments. Now most of my swing trading is done for a single hour. At the end of the night, it takes me 10 minutes to look. How many pairs is it? 28 pairs? But I'm looking for them to move over multiple days. Same thing. I just look for the single bias. That's the one. Put pending orders in. If it doesn't trigger by the time I wake up the next morning, just delete the order, reset it at the end of the night. Simple stuff. But today was just to give you something to think about, because I was asked about, I haven't got time to trade. That's how I would think about it. Anyway, trade well, keep your risk managed. Above all, do what you love, and the money will follow. See you all in the next one.